There's a moment every parent dreads, the one where you watch your own child figure out they're not loved the way they should be, right in front of you, and there's nothing you can do to stop it from landing. I lived that moment last Thanksgiving, and it changed the way I see my entire family forever. My name is Danielle Ferris. I'm 34, and I still feel the full weight of that afternoon every single morning, when I look over at my two kids sleeping down the hall, completely unaware of what my parents actually think of them underneath all the smiles. Let me walk you back to that day. It was one of those cold, golden November afternoons, the kind that smells like cinnamon and wood smoke, and feels pulled straight off a holiday card. My kids, Harper, who's 8, and Milo, who's 6, had been counting down all week. They picked out their own outfits, helped me roll out pie crust the night before, and kept asking how many more hours until we got to Grandma and Grandpa's house. That excitement on their faces, that completely innocent, uncomplicated joy, is the exact thing I can't stop replaying now, because of everything that came after it. We got to my parents' place a little afternoon. The house was packed. My older sister Whitney was there with her husband and their 3 kids. My younger brother Cole had driven in with his girlfriend and her daughter. The table looked like something out of a magazine. My mother always went all out of flowers, candles, the china that only ever came out twice a year. On the surface, everything was picture perfect. Dinner went the way it always did. There was laughter, there was turkey, there was the usual small talk about work and traffic and holiday plans. Harper and Milo were on their best behavior, clearing plates without being asked, saying please and thank you exactly the way I'd raised them to. I remember feeling proud watching them. I genuinely thought my parents felt it too. Then came the moment that split the whole day in half. After dessert, my father stood up at the head of the table with this rehearsed little smile on his face, the one he only pulls out right before a speech, and announced that he and my mother had something special planned this year. I remember his exact words, because they've been stuck in my head ever since. He said they had gifts for the grandchildren who had made them proud this year. My mother got up and came back from the other room carrying a basket stacked with wrapped presents, each one with a name tag on it. She started calling names out, one at a time. My niece Sadie. My nephew Grant. My nephew Owen. Cole's girlfriend's daughter, Piper. Each kid walked up, grabbed their gift, hugged my parents, everybody clapping and smiling around the table. Harper and Milo sat completely frozen, waiting to hear their names called. It never happened. The basket ran empty. My mother sat back down like nothing had occurred. My father moved right along to the next topic. And my 2 kids, my sweet, well-mannered, good-hearted children, turned and looked at each other with this quiet confusion that I watched slowly curdle into something much heavier. Before I could even fully register what had just happened, before I could figure out what to say, my sister Whitney leaned in close to me with this little smirk tugging at her mouth, and said, quiet enough that only I could hear it, "Guess they didn't make the cut this year." Something in me went completely still and cold. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't make a scene at that table. I just stood up, walked over to my kids, helped them into their coats, grabbed my bag, and told them we were leaving. My mother called out after me. My father looked genuinely confused. I didn't turn around once. In the car, Harper asked me quietly if she'd done something wrong. Milo, only 6, didn't say a single word the entire ride home. He just stared out the window with an expression no child should ever have to wear. Once we got home, and I got them both settled, I picked up my phone and typed one message into the family group chat. I kept it short. Don't invite us back. We're not your punchline. Your gift is already on its way. I hit send. Within seconds, my phone was ringing non-stop, my mother, my father, Whitney, all calling at once, back to back. I didn't pick up a single call. I let the phone ring itself out that night. I sat on the edge of my bed in the dark, listening to the buzzing finally die down, and for the first time in years, I felt something I hadn't expected at all. Not grief. Not fury. But this strange, quiet clarity, like a fog I'd been living inside for most of my adult life, had just lifted off of me all at once. Because the truth is, that basket didn't come out of nowhere. It was simply the first time my parents had been careless enough, or cruel enough, to do it in front of everyone, in front of the kids themselves, in a way that couldn't be softened or explained away afterward. Growing up, I was always the middle kid who never quite fit the shape my parents wanted their family to be. Whitney was the achiever, honor roll, scholarships, the daughter people bragged about at church. Cole was the charming one, the baby of the family, always forgiven no matter what he did. And I existed somewhere in the middle, never really celebrated, never really seen. For most of my adult life, I told myself it was fine, that families are just complicated, that I was probably being too sensitive about all of it. I made excuses for every cold remark, every forgotten birthday, every time I felt invisible in a room full of people who were supposed to love me the most. But watching my daughter ask if she'd done something wrong, broke something open in me that I already knew could never close back up again. The next morning, I got up early and made Harper and Milo their favorite breakfast. While they ate, I sat across from them and told them the truth, plainly, the way kids actually deserve to hear it. I told them none of what happened was about them, that they hadn't done anything wrong at all, that sometimes grown-ups make terrible decisions, and those decisions belong entirely to the grown-ups who make them. Harper nodded slowly and said she'd kind of figured that already. Milo asked if he could have more orange juice. Kids have this way of humbling you completely. Later that day, I drove to the store and picked out 2 of the nicest gift sets I could find, wrapped them myself, and wrote a card for each of my kids that simply said, "You make me proud every single day," without even trying, and that will never change. That became their real Thanksgiving gift, from me. Then I sat down and wrote my parents a long, careful message, not angry, not cruel, just completely honest. I told them exactly what their actions had said to my children. I told them that a grandparent who publicly excludes 2 grandchildren while rewarding the others isn't committing some harmless oversight, it's inflicting a wound. And wounds like that don't just vanish in childhood, they just go quiet and wait. I told them I'd spent my whole life chasing a version of their approval I was finally starting to understand had never really been available to me in the first place, and that I was done chasing it. Not out of anger. Out of peace. My mother called me 3 days later, crying. She said she hadn't meant it the way it landed, that the gifts were tied to school report cards, and Harper and Milo's school hadn't sent home the same kind of results as the other kids. I let her finish the whole explanation without cutting her off. Then I told her, calmly, that an achievement-based gift system, applied selectively to some grandchildren and not others, announced publicly at a family dinner with zero warning to the parents beforehand, is still a choice. And choices come with consequences. My father texted 2 weeks later, saying he thought I was overreacting. I never responded. Whitney sent a voice memo trying to walk her comment back, calling it a joke, telling me I'd always been too sensitive. I listened to it exactly once and deleted it. Instead, I put all of my energy into my kids and into building a home where they'd never have to wonder even once if they were enough. I started a brand new Thanksgiving tradition, just the three of us. Our own table, our own menu, our own reasons to be grateful. This past November was our very first one. Harper made the centerpiece herself, out of hand-painted paper leaves. Milo burned the crescent rolls a little, and was absolutely devastated about it, which ended up being the funniest, most heartwarming thing I've witnessed in a long time. We laughed until we were crying. I haven't set foot at my parents' house for a family gathering since that day. There are people in my extended family who think I overreacted. There are others who've quietly reached out to say they understood exactly why I left. I don't put much energy toward either group anymore. What I know now, with total certainty, is this. Protecting your children from the people who hurt them isn't a betrayal of family. It's the most fundamental act of love a parent can offer. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can ever say to someone who's spent your whole life diminishing you is simply, not anymore. My name is Danielle Ferris. I'm 34 years old. I walked out of a Thanksgiving dinner with nothing but my dignity and my kids beside me, and I have never once looked back. If this story reached something in you, or gave you the courage to trust your own instincts as a parent, I'd love for you to stick around and subscribe.